In the headlines, government makes known its stance on the Jean Pestana matter. The Commonwealth of Dominica Police Force says farewell to one of its own, and a team of Domlec technicians is back on island after helping the Bahamas recover from the ravages of Hurricane Matthew. I am Kenny Williams with the Channel 5 News. I'll be back with the details after this. Welcome back. We begin with this item that the government of Dominica has announced it will provide financial assistance for former Director of Public Prosecutions Jean Pestana, although he is not entitled to the pension he is asking for.
Recently, Pestana's condition came to the forefront when he made it known that he is unwell and in dire need of medical attention and financial assistance. Pestana claimed that he is deserving of a gratuity and a pension from the government of Dominica and had received no such financial assistance from the state. On Monday, a press conference was held by a group of former police officers who appealed to government to pay Pestana his pension. On Friday, the Minister for Justice called a press conference to clarify government's stance on the matter. According to information from the Attorney General, Levi Peter, Pestana served in the Dominica Police Force from 1969 to 1992. Upon his resignation in 1992, he received gratuity for his service to the force under the Pensions Act. Pestana was not entitled to a pension under the Police Pensions Act, as his rank upon departure from the force only granted him money under the Pensions Act. Pestana then served as Director of Public Prosecutions from 1992 to 2001 and again from 2007 to 2013. Attorney General Levi Peter pointed out that under the Pensions Act, Pestana is not entitled to a pension as Director of Public Prosecutions, as he did not serve 10 consecutive years, which would then allow him to receive the financial benefits from the Pensions Act. Peter further went on to note that, to his knowledge, Pestana does receive a pension under the Social Security's Pension Act.
There are two separate issues. One is, what is the legal position? What is the legal entitlement, properly interpreting and applying the various pension provisions? The government's position is that the proper legal interpretation is that Mr. Pestana is not entitled to a pension of the nature that he asserts that he's entitled to. The second and related but separate and distinct issue is, if Mr. Pestana cannot be accommodated by way of the pension provisions in his time of need, is there any other mechanism through which he can be assisted? The Honourable Prime Minister and Cabinet of Ministers has expressed its willingness to assist Mr. Pestana in defraying his medical costs, should he be desirous of this assistance.
Minister for Justice Reuben Blackmore says the current situation of Mr. Pestana is very unfortunate and government is willing to help him on compassionate grounds.
The issue is not to try to personalize this issue. And one has to understand whatever action that the government takes in relation to that matter. And if the government were to actually behave in a way consistent with the request or the demand that has been made on the state, claiming to a right to a pension, and if the state were to say yes, that in itself effectively is setting a precedence. But from a compassionate perspective, the Honourable Prime Minister, his cabinet, is willing and waiting for a request to be made to assist Mr. Pestana or anybody who has found his or herself in a similar predicament.
The Commonwealth of Dominica Police Force turned out in its numbers to say a final farewell to one of its own. 35-year-old Constable Chester Francis was laid to rest following a military funeral at the People's Pentecostal Church in Goodwill on Friday. Francis died as a result of a road accident on Sunday, 20th November, when the motorcycle on which he was traveling lost control and collided with the western wall of the EC Low Black Highway under the Canefield Cliff. Upon impact, Francis was flung from the motorcycle into the sea. Constable Francis, who lived in Goodwill, joined the Commonwealth of Dominica Police Force in 2011, and from 2013 up until the time of his death, he worked with the Marine Unit. On to matters of agriculture, the Honorable Minister of Agriculture, Johnson Drago, has assured the Dominican public that the Feeder Road Rehabilitation Project will serve approximately 5,073 farmers. Drago made these remarks following the recent visit to portions of lots 1 and 3 of the project.
Providing access to an anticipated 16,092 acres of productive land. This will provide a quantum leap in the sector. This monumental moment goes beyond the negative diatribes of non-believers. It proves that the government of Dominica is committed to agricultural development.
The minister said this is proof that the government wants all farmers to operate under the best conditions. He went on to say that government has supported initiatives for crop and livestock production, and the rehabilitation of feeder roads is yet another major concern of agricultural infrastructural development.
Through the BAM, investments have been made in providing well over 50,000 tissue culture banana plantlets for new cultivation by farmers. Those plants are now producing quality bananas for export. Black Sigatoka management involving over 2,120 farmers and 2,572 acres of bananas and planting. Support through the provision of fertilizer for production. Center for Testing Excellence with equipment for increased capacity. Support to the agricultural program of the Dominica State College, including provision of scholarship with capacity building. Support to livestock expansion and the Central Livestock Farm. Capacity building of staff of the Ministry of Agriculture in project management. Support to crop production with planting materials. Support to Dominican National Fair Trade Organization. Support to the Decho Island Pineapple Association with new tissue culture plants and materials and inputs, among other areas of agricultural development.
Drago says his ministry will continue to work with the farmers and ensure to move the sector forward. In court-related items, a strong message must be sent out given the prevalence of such cases in Dominica, and victims need to be protected.
This was based on a decision handed down by High Court Judge Victoria Charles Clark to the conduct of 33-year-old Steve John for unlawful sexual connection to a minor. Steve John was sentenced to 7 years in jail after he pleaded guilty to unlawful sexual connection with his 10-year-old sister. John was indicted on the charges of incest, indecent assault, and unlawful sexual connection to his 10-year-old sister. In related court news, 37-year-old Mathis Alson Woodman will serve 15 years in jail after he was found guilty of rape, incest, and indecent assault. That decision was handed down Friday by High Court Judge Victoria Charles Clark. Woodman was found guilty by a 9-member jury on 26 October 2016.
Coming up, the 16 Days of Activism campaign comes to an end on Saturday. Thank you for staying with us. A team of Domlec technicians is back on island after having spent a month in the Bahamas helping in their recovery efforts post-Hurricane Matthew. Hurricane Matthew bore down on the Bahamas as a Category 4 hurricane on 5th October. The areas that received the most damage were the islands of Grand Bahama and Andros. A team of 5 Domlec technicians trained in lifeline work was deployed to Andros for 2 weeks to help restore power lines there. Journeymen with Domlec and the team leader, Peter Antoine, spoke with Channel 5 News upon his return to Dominica.
We were in Andros for 2 weeks, where they had a considerable amount of damage out there. And we were able to work on 170 poles in that area within that 2-week period, where we rebuild lines, install transformers, did vegetation management, and when we left there, Andros was, let's say, 95% completed when we left in that area.
While their services were primarily requested in Andros, the downed power poles and lines and the damage to generators in the aftermath of Hurricane Matthew also made the team's assistance needed in Grand Bahama.
When we went to Grand Bahama actually had over 250 linemen from all over. So when we went, we were more or less involved in street light maintenance, new service installations, and transformer installations. That's what we were more or less involved in. When we left Grand Bahama was 98% complete.
Antoine says it was very rewarding to help restore electricity to one of the more badly affected areas in the Bahamas.
The things at our home, we use almost 95% of it we use electricity. And then when you go out there and you are able to assist others, it's really a pleasure. It's really a pleasure because everybody is accustomed to having electricity now, and when they don't have it, we know how it feels. So it's always a pleasure when we were in Andros. People came and said thank you, and it really felt good when people were really were thanking us and really telling us they were glad that we came. It really felt good.
The 5-member team also consisted of Judah Alexander, Ken Christmas, Chanel Ogaro, and Francis Gervais. Concerns regarding the preparation for burials have emerged following a recent incident at a funeral which resulted in a coffin not being able to fit properly into the grave. Acting CEO of the Rosal City Council, Thomas Baptist, told Channel 5 News that a strategy will be implemented to avoid this issue in the future. This following official reports on the grave not being 6 feet deep as it should be.
If a grave is dug 6 feet, the common understanding is that a grave should be dug 6 feet. If a grave is dug 6 feet, for instance, and then you have a casket, and the casket is about 2 feet in height, and you place it into a 6 feet coffin, 6 feet grave, it would appear that this is not sufficiently deep enough. So it would appear that that grave, in fact, is 4 feet. So looking, down from above, you realize that, look, this cannot be a 6 feet grave, which in fact is a 6 feet grave. So what we have done now is that we are putting the mechanism in place where we are going to look at either 6, 7, 7.5 feet, so that the family members do not feel aggrieved, that they in some cases, the caskets or the certain designs of the coffin, that it would be a little bit tall. So it would give the impression, so to speak, as I said earlier, that the grave is not dug 6 feet.
Another concern of the public is when a grave is dug.
We try not to dig a grave before 24 hours because, at least the public, the media knows that in 2008 there was an incident where someone fell into a grave and there was a lawsuit which the City Council lost and that we had to pay costs. So we try all precautionary measures to ensure that we do not dig a grave overnight so that there could be a recurrence of that incident. So we try to have a grave dug the very same day. In the event that we have 1, 2 or more funerals, we would have additional men to be stationed at the respective cemeteries where the interment will be taking place, and we will do the digging of the grave on that very day.
In other news, Dominican men are being applauded for their role in helping to end gender-based violence. During the 16 days of activism, the Bureau of Gender Affairs held a series of bar hopper limes to interact with men in the northern sections of the country and help formulate a plan to eliminate gender-based violence. Director of the Bureau of Gender Affairs says this activity has been well received.
Last week we had one. We started in Dodan and ended up in Wesley. And when you start the discussions, by the time people start getting a little bit more comfortable with the topic, that's the time you have to leave. And so, but it was really, really engaging. And I think, Dr. Blazandai, he was one of our volunteers on the mission with us. And we were speaking about doing a paper about some of the things that the men speak about.
Paul highlighted that the Bureau reaches a wide cross-section of men during these events, and the suggestions coming forth are useful in the fight against gender-based violence.
But it was really striking to see that these are the same people, the guys who smoke the marijuana, the guys who sit on the block, the guys who are idle. They have so much the elderly men who, you know, are at home, who can really converse and have a deep conversation on the topic. So it was really inspirational to us as well, and very motivating to us to continue that balance and reaching out to men, because they have a lot to say on the issue as well.
The 16 Days of Activism campaign comes to an end on 10th December, which is Human Rights Day. Paul says a special activity will be held in the Kalinago territory to coincide with the occasion.
We will be down on the East Coast. Tomorrow we'll be engaging the youth in the Kalinago territory in a mural painting, and linking that to indigenous rights, because on Saturday is Human Rights Day.
The 16 Days of Activism campaign had kicked off on 25th November, which was observed as Orange Day and the day to eliminate violence against women. And school dropouts were given a second chance to learn or develop a new skill as the Roseau Youth Center hosted its annual Life Skills program on Thursday. Assistant Youth Officer for the Roseau South District, Melissa John Luis, told the Channel 5 News the program is also targeted towards those who are idle at the moment.
So we do the basic maths, social studies, science, we do English, they also do computer sessions, they do sports, they do social skills sessions, they do 3 different skills area: arts and craft, culinary arts, electrical wiring. They go to the library as well for library studies, and they do a little bit of sewing.
The youth demonstrated their skills through electrical wiring, arts and craft, and culinary arts, among others.
At the end of the training, they receive a certificate, and they also get a chance to go on job attachment if they meet the criteria for job attachment. Attendance is very critical. So they have to have a 75% of attendance during the program. Their behavior is very critical as well. They have to have good behavior. Punctuality also is another aspect of the program, and academics as well. So they have to be well groomed to go on attachment, because they're representing not just themselves and their communities and their families, but also the Youth Development Division.
One of the participants had this to say.
Well, I'm taking part in the culinary arts, the cooking in the kitchen area, yeah. Because I love to cook and I want to become a chef. It will benefit me because I want to take it serious, so I'll reach further in life, and I want to do my best. And my teacher also helping me. I would encourage them to take part in it because it's a good thing for you. Instead, if you leave school, you can come and do your subjects like English and maths. You can do cooking, you can do arts and electrical wiring and sewing. It will be good for you, man.
7 individuals were placed on attachment following last year's program, while 2 received full-time employment. Coming up in sports, 2 Dominicans to fight in the finals of the Caribbean Development Boxing Tournament in Barbados. First up in sports. Although there was a late start due to rain, round 4 of the PCL Regional 4-Day Tournament was in full swing at the Windsor Park Sports Stadium on Friday. Leeward Islands Hurricanes won the toss and elected to field. Windward Islands Volcanoes made 186 for 8 on day 1. Liam Sebastian scored 58 not out, while Delron Johnson coming in with 46 not out. Azari Joseph picked up 3 for 52 and Gavin Tung 4 for 24. On the football scene, Domlec Dominica Grammar School defeated Casablanca Secondary 4-2 in the Sports Division Under 20 category. C. Loda and Nixon Packett scored 2 each for DGS, while Jason Joseph found the back of the nets twice for CBSS. Meantime, in the Under 15, St. Mary's Academy beat Portsmouth Secondary 7-2. Taran Toussaint and Majid Peltier scored 2 each, with single goals from Odell Laville, Lewan Leslie and Kimar Phillip. O'Malley Rabes scored for PSS. And in the match between Isaiah Thomas and Portsmouth Secondary Schools, ITSS beat PSS 2-1. Ali Marie scored 2 for ITSS, with Troy Victor scoring the lone goal for PSS. This means that Dominica Grammar School and the Isaiah Thomas Secondary will meet up in the final. Meantime, the race to the DFA Flow Premier League Championship title continues with matches on the weekend. On Saturday, league leaders and the defending champion, Central Cooperative Credit Union Dublin Football Club, will be looking to take their tally of points to 31 when they come up against Bath State FC, who is on 20 points. That match is scheduled for Geneva at 3 p.m. Over at Dublin, it will be a clash of the bottom-ranked teams at 4 when Wacky Rollers take on RIC Kensborough, who are on 7 and 0 points respectively. And on Sunday, there will be an interesting face-off between the Caribbean Cool Harlem United and Sagicor Southeast teams at Geneva from 3 p.m. Both are tied on 23 points. At Dublin, Exodus FC on 25 points will do battle with Petro Caribe Point Michel on 19 points. Kickoff is at 4 p.m. Meantime, in the Division 1 League on Saturday, East Central will take on Mao Soccer Strikers at 3 p.m. at the Castle Bruce playing field. And on Sunday, Haitian Angels will come up against MV Maxon Obamas at Portersville from 4 p.m. Back with more cricket, David Warner struck 156 to help Australia secure a 117-run win against New Zealand in the third ODI on Friday. Australia took first to knock and scored 264 for 8. In reply, the New Zealanders were bowled out for 147 in 36.1 overs. No New Zealand batsman scored more than Martin Guptill's 34. Australia won the 3-match series 3-0. David Warner got player of the match and series. Resuming on 288 for 5 on Friday, England was bowled out for 400 runs on day 2 of the test against India. Keaton Jennings scored the most for the English side with 112, while Just Butler came in with 76 and Moeen Ali 50. The combined efforts of R. Ashwin and Ravindra Jadeja spelled trouble for the England side as they picked up 6 for 112 and 4 for 109 respectively. In reply, India finished the second day on 146 for 1 in 52 overs. Muriel Vijay made 70 not out, with the second highest score for the Indian side being C. Pujara's 47 not out. Next up, the Sports Division District Festival moves to Lindo Park this Sunday with a variety of competitions among communities. Events include cricket, football, basketball, and track and field. Participating communities are Goodwill, Foncolé, Wharton Waven, Mont Prosper, and Bath Estate. Sunday's festival starts at 12 p.m. Meantime, in the previous festival in the Southeast District, La Plaine came first with 31 points, Grand Fort 29, Boetica third on 8, and Dalis next on 7. La Plaine will represent the Southeast at the finals. In boxing, Dominica boxer Delroy John Charles won his bout in the Caribbean Development Boxing Tournament in Barbados on Thursday. He defeated his Anguillan opponent by default. Dominica now has 2 boxers in the finals, namely Nathaniel Joseph and Delroy John Charles. Moving on to netball. A hot hand from Aikisha Peters and assistance from Grace Vidal helped Isaiah Thomas Secondary score 44 against Dominica Grammar School's 2 in the Sports Division Under-16 netball competition. Peters shot and scored 23, while Vidal chipped in with 16. Contending for DGS was Monique Royer and Kalin, who added 1 each. In the Convent High versus Goodwill Secondary School's match, CHS finished on 21 points, while GSS had to settle for 7. Angelique Sorrendo scored 14, while Zora Xavier added 7 for CHS. Faith John Baptist got 7 for GSS. And in the under-20 category, Convent High beat Goodwill Secondary 28-13. Scoring for CHS was Angelique Sorrendo 23 and Soraya Charles 3. Scoring for CHS was Angelique Sorrendo 23 and Soraya Charles 3. GSS's scorer were Avril Walsh 7 and Stelithia Ito 4. And who will be the 2016 Giant Malt National Rounders League champion? Well, that could be decided when Game 2 in the best-of-3 finals gets underway at Portersville on Sunday. Previously, Rising Stars of Granby defeated Dubla Almond Stars by 119 runs in Game 1. Dubla will be hoping to win Game 2 to have a shot at taking this year's championship. However, Granby will be looking to avoid a third and decisive match by walking away with an early victory. Game 2 bowls off at 12 p.m. That's all the sporting highlights for now. Join us again next time. Stay tuned for your weekend weather forecast.
Good evening and welcome to tonight's weather broadcast. I am your presenter, Annie Correct Joseph. The Atlantic high pressure system re-established itself across the area today, resulting in a gradual drying up of the atmosphere. Visible satellite imagery showed some low-level clouds over Dominica throughout the course of the afternoon, resulting in partly cloudy to cloudy skies. Radar imagery indicated some minimal shower activity, mainly over the southern portion of the chain. Conditions for tonight: fair to occasionally cloudy and breezy conditions with some scattered showers. Similar conditions can be expected tomorrow, with showers expected mainly during the early morning. Sea conditions: moderate in open water with waves up to 8 feet. Small craft operators and sea bathers, you are advised to exercise some caution. Taking a look at the extended forecast, again tomorrow Saturday, fair to occasionally cloudy skies with some scattered showers and breezy conditions as well. On Sunday and Monday, an increase in cloudiness and shower activity can be expected. Across the region tomorrow, mostly cloudy skies can be expected over the extreme northern portion of the island chain with some showers. Across the central portion, partly cloudy to cloudy skies with scattered showers, and the extreme southern portion, mostly cloudy skies with scattered showers and possible thunderstorm activity. On the international scene, partly cloudy skies in New York, Miami, and in Beijing with some rain expected. In Miami, overcast skies with some showers. In London, and partly cloudy skies with some showers and thunderstorm activity expected in Caracas. The sun will rise tomorrow at 6:21 a.m. and set at 5:36 p.m. For up-to-date information, log on to our website at weather.gov.dm or call the weather hotline at 447-5555. Thank you for viewing and join us next time. Good night.
To end the news, the headlines again. Government makes known its stance on the Jean Pestana matter. The Commonwealth of Dominica Police Force says farewell to one of its own, and a team of Domlec technicians is back on island after helping the Bahamas recover from the ravages of Hurricane Matthew. Feel free to contact us at news@mapping2k4.com. You can also access our past newscasts on our YouTube channel. On behalf of the entire production team, I am Kenny Williams. To all our viewers around the world, we thank you for watching. Have an awesome weekend.